right now. People are looking to listen to your story. People are looking to be inspired. People are looking for hope. Sometimes our stories are light for other people, and it is the time to share them and really enjoy that part of our identity. Welcome to Empowermente, the headquarters of personal empowerment. Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm so excited to be back. It is season 2 of the Empowermente Podcast. I am so happy and so excited to be here with you today. And I'm so grateful that you're listening to me right now, for taking the time out of your day to have your faith in my voice, whether you're going on a walk, whether you're on your drive, washing dishes, or literally just listening to me. I am extremely grateful. And I'm so excited to dive into today's topic because it's a topic that called me. So recently I launched my group coaching program, Next Level Latina. And I always enjoy it. It's very interesting to see like the type of women that I attract and what they're working on and what parts of my brand they resonate with. And this time around, there's a theme of sharing your voice, finding your voice, sharing your voice, learning how to share your story, how to have more confidence and more presence, how to be comfortable with visibility. And it's a topic that really, really excites me because it is very, very close to my heart. Not just because I changed my career to be a public speaker and content creator and be somebody who's really visible, but also because the piece of finding your voice goes deep. It goes really, really deep because I've never really shared my story from the lens of finding my voice. And that has played such a huge role in my life. And I'll give you a little bit of context. I think when I speak about the hardest times that I've had in my life, when I felt at my all-time low, I felt lost, I felt like really not just low mental health, but I knew that it was coming from a sense of not finding meaning in my life anymore. Finding my voice was what helped me ultimately gain joy and happiness again. And I realized that it wasn't just about finding my voice, it was about finding myself. And also it was about creating my voice because I felt like I didn't really have one before. And it all goes into identity. Like I just really felt like before I went through my spiritual awakening and self-discovery journey, I really didn't have a strong foundation of who I was. And that is because I was raised by an extremely controlling person who didn't really allow me to create my identity outside of them. And through my healing journey of finding, discovering, and owning my voice, I flourished into who I am today, unapologetically who I am today, and the happiest version of myself that's not afraid to be seen for who she is. And so it goes really, really deep into my healing in that relationship and healing of myself and reclaiming who I am. And you don't have to have gone through like a traumatic experience to feel the same way that I feel. Maybe you weren't necessarily raised by somebody who was controlling, but maybe you were raised with the belief that you should keep quiet, and being quiet is the way that you're going to be the most palatable, the most agreeable, the most digestible, and not to call too much attention to yourself as a woman, because being too loud is seen as like not classy, or is it seen as something that's wrong. And so it also goes hand in hand with the phrase calladita te ves más bonita, and it goes deep into patterns of machismo and marianismo I just wanted to briefly define what is machismo. So machismo refers to a strong or exaggerated sense of traditional masculinity, often associated with dominance, control, and emotional suppression in men. So an expanded version of this is that machismo is a cultural belief system rooted in patriarchy that glorifies male strength, dominance, and authority, often at the expense of emotional expression, vulnerability, or equality. It can show up in everyday expectations like men not crying, needing to be the provider, or feeling entitled to control over women's choices. Oh my God, this is so accurate. And it's what I experienced growing up, toxic masculinity. So now for Marianismo. Marianismo is the traditional ideal that women should be pure, self-sacrificing, and nurturing. And they should be morally superior, modeled after the Virgin Mary. So an expanded version of this is that it's basically the flip side of machismo. So it's the cultural expectation that women must be selfless, submissive, and devoted to family, often putting others' needs before their own. It reinforces the idea that a good woman should endure, stay quiet, and be the emotional backbone for everyone else. So basically be self-sacrificing and ignore your needs and just do everything else for everyone. And if you're watching the YouTube channel, you'll notice that I changed. That's because I recorded like the last part of this podcast and some things that I wanted to say afterwards because my camera was doing some weird things and it was focusing and just out of focusing and then stopping. So I don't know what happened there. So if you're wondering why I changed, that is why. And so I myself, I'm the first one in my lineage to have the power, to have the resources and consciousness to not only find and own my voice, but teach others how to do it and to continue to share my story. And so today's topic is all around how sharing our stories is so important, especially right now, and how my journey of finding my voice changed everything in my life. And so I am so excited to deep dive into this topic. While I am sitting in my new apartment, I brought some boxes as decor. Literally, I'm looking at it and there's nothing here. If you look at the Instagram page for Empowermente, you'll see pictures of just boxes everywhere. But I just wanted it to be genuine, and I really wanted to step into this podcast episode today. And sometimes when we want to avoid uncomfortable feelings, we avoid doing certain tasks because we want to avoid those feelings. And so that's how I feel about this podcast. I absolutely love doing this podcast, but I think I'm a little bit taken aback and scared because I know the amount of work that it takes to produce one. Even if I don't have the best production, just sitting here and pouring my thoughts does take time and effort. And so I think I have been a little bit scared of being imperfect and showing up and the freaking box next to me. But I said, you know what? I think it makes it even more genuine, and I'll take you along this journey of being in my own space. And at the end of the video, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll show you the beautiful views. It is so beautiful here, y'all. I am really excited for this new space because it's new space, new energy. And I looked at the numerology for this apartment, and it's all about creativity and embodiment and spirituality. And I'm just really grateful for this jump, and I'm really excited, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me. And I have so much to cover with you today, and I'm beyond excited. This is gonna be an episode packed with value, and I hope that you enjoy it. Okay, so here's some topics that we're going to cover, and I'm turning to make sure that I don't forget anything. 1, why many of us struggle to speak up and why sharing your story matters now more than ever. 2, why storytelling isn't just about vulnerability and it has real life impact. How sharing my story changed my personal life, not only for getting jobs and promotions, but also starting my business, getting clients, and just it continues to attract the right people in my life. 4, elements to powerful storytelling. And 5, how to get started with sharing your story. And so let me know if this topic is interesting to you. You can DM me at Empowermente Collective on Instagram or my personal account, Soy Gina Moreno, and let's dive straight into it. The first part is why many of us struggle to speak up and why sharing your story now matters more than ever. Okay, it's 2025 and we are in the midst of a very chaotic political climate. And I think it is pretty much common knowledge that the story is never told from the full perspective. We always have one perspective of the story and we never have the other half. It's kind of like our stories are threads, and so much so that there's even books being banned because they don't want you to know the full story. And now that we have the privilege, the education, and the consciousness to know the benefits of sharing your story, we should share it because we have the unique perspectives that are going to shape and impact the way other people see the world. And you are one of those people that has such a unique perspective in your upbringing, in your values, in the way that you were raised, and your unique experiences that is going to help people understand and gain a greater perspective of what the world is. And for so long, people have tried to really shrink and quiet down perspectives of minorities, of misrepresented groups, of marginalized groups. And now that we have the power to actually share our voice, we should totally use that power because it's going to shape future generations. It's going to make an impact in the world right now. People are looking to listen to your story. People are looking to be inspired. People are looking for hope. Sometimes our stories are light for other people, and it is the time to share them and really enjoy that part of our identity. And I know it is not easy, and that's why in the next several episodes I'm going to share all about visibility and how to feel comfortable being seen and heard in a way that maybe feels a little bit vulnerable, because that has been my journey in being on stage and on content creation. It's like being seen for who I am and putting it out there for the people to judge me, right? But it's not necessarily like that. It doesn't have to be like that. And so it's really, really empirical. And ¿cómo se dice? Esa no es una palabra, ¿verdad? It's just really, really important for you to share your story right now. Now more than ever, when we're in this political climate, and our stories can create a difference. And I have specific situations in mind, right? Like from people who are cycle breakers and are becoming mental health advocates because of their own experience with mental health and trauma. It's important for you to share your story so you can give hope to other people. I'm talking about people who are children of immigrants who maybe grew up undocumented along with their parents and now have the ability to know the language and know how to reach people and be able to share that perspective and stand up for those who can't. And I'm talking about people who are starting businesses. Your story is your unique value proposition. It is what's gonna make you stand out, and it's ultimately what's gonna help you elevate and catapult your business. And so it's really, really about not only creating an impact, but creating a way for our community to be visible. And people like you to be visible, because you and our people deserve to be seen. And for that very reason that sharing our stories matter is sometimes why we struggle to share our voice. Because for so many generations, our voices have been shrunk. I'm not just talking about being a woman, but specifically being a Latina. It's like our voices are not the ones that are important. And it is so sad that that has been the case historically. And sometimes that's why it's hard, because we're the first ones in our lineage, in our communities, to feel comfortable and sometimes uncomfortable doing this work. Just know that not only is it so worth it, but it's going to completely transform your life, your identity, and the way that you see yourself. You're gonna walk into rooms feeling completely different. I'm gonna go into why storytelling isn't just about vulnerability. So this has real life benefits. Let's talk about career and business first, which I feel like are the easiest to understand. So in terms of your career, when you are looking for a new job, really capitalize on your own experience and your own knowledge and your own wisdom. So don't just say like, hey, I'm interested in this job because I don't know, because I'm really interested in this discipline. Like, go into your story. What struggles made you want to pursue the career you're pursuing? Like, what about your story makes it that you are the perfect fit for that role? That's how I always interviewed. When I interviewed at some of the companies that are the hardest to get into, I would interview sharing my complete story, and I'm not talking like my whole trauma and shit. I'm talking more like what parts of my story gave me the resilience and the skills to be great at this job. And for me, I would always share the story about how when I got my first internship, I realized that I was a minority and I was a Latina in STEM, and that I became passionate about advocating and how that would translate to being a great team player, because I understood what it was like to not be seen for who I was. And so always use that storytelling and bridge it to what and why you would be perfect for that role. Same thing when you're asking for leadership, promotions, and things of that nature. Share how your experiences have shaped you to be the perfect PM2 or be the perfect manager, right? And it doesn't have to be life experiences. It can also be work experience. And that storytelling is going to help like bridge everything of your qualifications and things that you can actually measure together. Let me know if you want me to give more examples in next episode. But I think it goes hand in hand with my unique value proposition and talking about the Diosa statement and about presence that I've talked about previously. But yeah, I think that's the easiest way to explain it. The next thing is that it's going to be giving you a lot of confidence and clarity. If you understand why your experiences have uniquely positioned you to be the best at what you're doing, you're gonna walk differently, you know? And not only that, but also understanding the context in which you exist. You know, if you come from immigrant parents, you know, we know that we are the first ones to create like a life like the one that we have. And when you see the trajectory of what led you to be where you are, you walk with pride, you walk with ease, you walk knowing that you have the knowledge not only from your parents, but from your ancestors within you. So I absolutely love that. And the next reason is alignment and magnetism. When you share your story, you automatically start attracting people and opportunities that are aligned with you, and you will start shaping a completely different life. That's what happened to me. As I shared my story, I attracted my tribe, my people that really related to me and my experiences. And you're gonna become magnetic because whatever you're talking about, you're gonna attract the right opportunities. For me, as I started creating content, I would talk about education, how to get into tech, and then I transitioned more into my healing journey and being first gen. And through that, I attracted media opportunities and I would do coaching around that. And then I transitioned to being a full-time entrepreneur, and I've attracted opportunities to be on panels. And when you have that brand and visibility and you've shared your story, people know what to call you for, and it is amazing. And you will also attract people that are super aligned with you, that see you, that understand you, that love you, and it is really, really great. It's been one of my favorite and best experiences that I've had after sharing my story. So far, we've covered why many of us struggle to speak up, why sharing your story is super important, especially right now. Why storytelling isn't just about vulnerability, it has a real life impact that can help you. And now we're gonna go into how sharing my story has changed my life. So the first time that I shared my story on social media, I had shared my story like when I would interview for internships and for full-time jobs, but that has drastically changed. What I talk about is not about like my internships and like my education and how I'm a first generation student. It has drastically changed. And I remember related to that, the very first TikTok that I posted on my story, the very first TikTok I posted about my story, if you go all the way back, I think it got 70,000 views, but it was about like, hey, as simple as like, hey, I'm a first generation college graduate. Here are the internships that I had. I'm Mexican American. I love these things. This is what's important to me. Follow for more. And it was basically like an advertisement for my profile, and it did so well because it was so genuine and so natural. And sometimes it just starts like that, just like, hey, here's what I am, here's what I like, here's what I've done, here's what I value, here's what I like. Did I already say like? But yeah, it's just like as simple as you can put it. And as we evolve, depending on where we want to go, we start taking different pieces and aspects of our story to be able to have messaging that is more impactful to what we're trying to do, who we're trying to reach, and what we're trying to do. For me, sharing my story allowed me to create an audience, like huge audience on TikTok that I created over, I think like 2 years really. After that, I haven't really grown because I haven't invested a lot of time in making videos, but creating that community gave me so many opportunities to go to different conferences and get paid, and like just completely change the trajectory of my career. And so those opportunities gave me connections, gave me connection, purpose, and income. Yeah, connections. It gave me a lot of amazing friends and mentors and people that I would have never met if I didn't have my own brand. It gave me purpose because I didn't know what I want to do after, I knew that I didn't want to work in corporate my whole life, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So sharing my story was a way for me to understand myself at a deeper level and like just explore and go on a self-discovery journey. And the third is obviously income. It gave me opportunities to speak on stages for money, and also just like get paid for brand deals, to promote organizations, to promote frameworks, which is super cool and unique because I've only mostly worked with nonprofits, which is super cool because it's all around like advocacy and social impact, which I really deeply value. So that's the first way that sharing my story has changed my life, obviously giving me all the opportunities, completely changing my career and making me happy with connections that I never would have met otherwise. And sharing my story was also a way of healing. Burping, I'm releasing emotion. It was a deep form of healing because when you share your story, you need to learn who you are and understand that deeply. And of course, that can change. But for me, it was just a way of reclaiming who I am and having my own identity outside of everything that I was supposed to be. And it was a way for me to liberate myself and be free. It was a deep, deep healing journey for me. And I'm so, so grateful for it because without that, I wouldn't have experienced the deep transformation that turned me into who I am today. If you know you're meant to do something meaningful and you want to do something bigger but are feeling stuck and unfulfilled and not sure where to go, I am the person to help you through that and support you. I created a first generation Latina program for 4 months where you get to work with me one-on-one and we get to tackle those limiting beliefs that are really keeping you in the same loop. We will rewire your mindset for deep transformation so that you can tackle the thing that you've been wanting to do and feel happy and at ease while doing it. This is a deeply high-touch program. It is the only program where you get to work with me one-on-one. And if you're being called to own your voice, to live a more fulfilling, abundant, and aligned life, I am the person to help you. And if you're interested, please book a consult called on the show notes. I am so excited for the potential of working with you, and yeah. I'm excited to create that roadmap for you to see what your next step is going to look like. And I'm so excited for you to step into your next level. For this next section, I'm gonna give you tangible tips that are not only gonna help you share your story in a more impactful way, but are also gonna help you with your storytelling skills, so that not only when you're speaking about your story, it emphasizes and it brings life to what you're saying, but also when you're just sharing something else that has nothing to do with you and more to do with your own voice and your own influence. Let's talk about 3 powerful elements of storytelling. One is context and purpose. So who are you giving this story to? Who are you gifting the story to? And why? Like, why are you sharing it? Is it for a certain purpose? Is it because you're pitching your business? Is it because you are wanting to inspire an audience? Is it because you want to inform them about a certain thing? A good question and rule of thumb thing to have top of mind is, what do I want my audience to take away from this? Like, whether that be like your manager, like your kids, like whoever you're telling the story to, like, what is my purpose behind sharing this? The next is your backstory and your values. So think about what were those pivotal moments that made you who you are. Think about the specific moments and stories that have truly shaped you, and that's gonna add a lot of flavor to your story. How does your past connect to your current mission and the purpose of why you're sharing the story? And I'll give you an example of both of these in the next section, which is sharing your transformation and your learnings. What did you learn and how can other people benefit from your transformation? So I often talk about how I went through this big self-discovery journey, healing journey, and spiritual awakening that completely transformed who I am, but I haven't really given you specifics of how I have transformed thus far in this episode. So I'm gonna go into a little bit of a tangent to share what my transformation is and has been, so that I can give you a better idea of how to share your story. So for my internal transformation, I went from seeking external fulfillment to finding it internally. I went from getting out of the world of external achievement into internal fulfillment. And so when you're a person that's a high achiever and you're looking for the next milestone, looking for the next thing that's going to give you that validation of everything that you're doing, all you do is you're chasing it, but you feel empty inside. Like, that's not really what's going to bring you the fulfillment. At least that was the case for me, because I wasn't chasing it from the right place. It was really about prestige, performance, and proving myself to my parents and to others for no reason, right? Proving that I was smart enough, proving that I could do it. And all of this happened at a subconscious level. And that's where the majority of the world sits, right? We're not consciously thinking, I'm going to do this because I'm going to prove myself to others. And I mean, if you do, then good for you. But a lot of people don't even have the awareness to understand that. And that's who I was. And to me, what happened is I started to live from my heart. I started to live from my intuition, feeling safe in my body and my decisions, regardless of what other people thought. Feeling at peace with living my truth without needing the validation of other people. So I stopped performing for approval and started living for me. So the way that I would apply it for me would be to share my story to attract the right clients. So when I talk about how I felt back in 2019, 2020, feeling very lost, unfulfilled, and feeling like I could do so much more, I wasn't in the right path. Like, I could do more with my talent, with my love, with my passion. I was at an all-time low, like I mentioned earlier. And it was really during the pandemic that my life turned around and I started to share my story. And so I would share what my internal transformation was after sharing all of that context and that story. story with you to portray what was my journey and what it led to, and how my transformation learnings can help other people reach their alignment and their purpose. And there's so many angles that you can share, like your internal transformation and what you learned. Again, this is going to depend on who you're speaking to and what the purpose of you sharing it is. So, for example, I also made the shift from moving from survival mode to self-trust. So growing up low income and with a lot of instability, I learned not to trust anybody and just to go, and no breathing was allowed. I was more operating out of a state of fearing falling behind, other than actually seeking something that was exciting to me and that would make me happy. So this came from just generational trauma and being the first one to do many things. And I learned to be in my feminine energy and to move away from having to control everything around my life to deeply accepting what is and feeling safe and held even when I let go. So I learned to surrender. This helped me leave my wounded masculine behind and really embody my feminine. I softened into trust, flow, and joy without feeling guilty for it. I also broke the cycle of self-abandonment and went into wholeness. I used to think I had to compartmentalize, I don't know how to say that word, but separate different parts of my identity to be respected. And this is something that I learned very early on in my career. And you can hear it in my 2019 TEDx Empower Women in STEM, where I talk about that it's okay to be girly. It's okay to embody your definition of success. And for me, I learned that very early on, and that I didn't have to separate this powerful woman that I am from the soft woman that I also am, to the bubbly, to the intuitive Latina that I am. I am all. I am a healer. I am a CEO. I have an inner niña that is so happy and so excited to be here. The reclamation and realization here is that I don't have to dim parts of myself to be seen, loved, and respected. So that's a really great example, yeah. So that I'm giving you 2 so far. No, I'm giving you 3, and I'm going to give you 1 more. So let me give you some examples of how this would sound like. And the last example of how I can share my transformation is to say that I went from linear success to seeking soul-led impact. So to me, it's not really about escaping struggle. It's more about creating a life that is aligned with me and rewrite what success is to me and what a modern Latina looks like. And that's something that makes me really excited and makes me deeply fulfilled. And so if you're having trouble kind of putting all this information to the use, one exercise that I would do is I would set a timer for 10 minutes and literally do what I call word vomit. Just write everything that you can think of that makes you you, that is part of your story. And you don't have to outline like the full stories and pivotal moments, but just like, oh, this happened to me when I was in middle school. This happened to me when I was in high school. And just like put it all in a sheet of paper. And then what you're gonna do is that with that word vomit, you're gonna insert it into ChatGPT or say it literally. I literally have calls with ChatGPT all the time, and tell it to find common themes and patterns for you. You can even ask it to analyze the brand archetype that you have based on your stories, and it'll give you different brand archetypes that can help you shape your message even further. Remember, you don't have to share the deepest and most intimate traumatic experiences that you have had to have an impact. It's more about what feels right to you in that moment. I, for sure, have never shared anything that was like too vulnerable to the point where I was uncomfortable. I just shared things that I felt comfortable people knowing and people asking me about. And your story and the way that you tell it is gonna change over time, and that's completely okay. Remember that if you're looking to gain visibility, to get into a leadership position, get promoted, or you're looking to start a brand, it's all the same thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. And let me give you permission not to be perfect, because perfection is not what we're chasing here. Progress is. Progress. So if you're wondering, is my story worth telling? The answer is 1000% yes, and I can't wait to hear it. Thank you for listening today. I can't wait to get back into the groove of doing my podcast, and I really hope that you tune in for the coming episodes. Se cuidan. Un besito. If you're ready to take up more space and be seen for your brilliance, I am so excited to share that I'm opening up more spots to work with me one-on-one. This is a space where I guide you through your transformation for you to be able to share your voice and story in a way that feels comfortable and impactful to you. This is going to be useful if you're looking to start a business, if you're looking to start a brand or start content creation, or if you're simply looking to gain more confidence. The clients that I have worked with have had an immense progress in their personal journeys and have reported to feel a lot more confident in themselves and a lot more self-trust. We're gonna rewrite the narrative together, and I'm gonna support you throughout the whole time. The way that the program works is that we work together for 4 months, and we meet once a week, 3 weeks out of the month, and you have access to speak to me via Slack so that when you come across blocks or limiting beliefs that are holding you back, I can help you rewrite those in real time. This program is only for women that are ready to transform and are ready to step into the next level of their life that is calling them. A level of alignment and fulfillment that is true to them. So if this calls you, make sure that you book a consult call. Make sure that you book a consult call, which is to make sure that we're a right fit to work together, and you'll learn more about the program there. And I'm so excited to work together. This is really a space for you to grow into a bolder, watered, flourish, more beautiful version of you. And I'm so excited to work together.